Get ready for takeoff because it's a take flight talk. It's your pilots. We in the building. We got James Rudy, Abby. We got Fitz. I think my layout is different than everybody else's layout, so I can't even point to where we're at. But it doesn't matter because the only direction that matters is up. That's where the New York Jets are going. All right. The NFL realizes that. Roger Goodell realizes that. And most importantly, HBO realizes that because as of yesterday, hard knocks, hard knocks. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for the New York Jets. They have chosen us. They have chosen us to be on their show this season. So I'll leave it to the only person wearing a New York Jets jersey. Finn, tell me, how are you feeling about this hard knock life?
Despise it. If anybody's been looking at my Instagram, I despise it. Look, I get it. I get it. I understand why we were chosen. Of course, we bring in Rodgers. We got the offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. We're an exciting team to be spotlight right now. Where I have issues, right, is like, this is something we've been talking about. As a fan, I couldn't be more excited. It's going to be very fun to go and watch it. But when you go and have the head coach saying, we don't want it, we don't want it. Like, I don't understand, from a fan perspective, I get it. But from the team, I absolutely get where Salah's coming from. We're having these additional cameras on you. Where look at all the previous Hard Knock seasons. It's all been digging for drama, trying to look for some personalities, trying to take advantage of some young kids that don't have, PR experience. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to do this. They're trying to go and make a name for themselves. I think this is going to be for the players. It's going to be a distraction. It's going to hold them back. And it's just going to be a liability. I don't see, and hopefully nothing happens and there's not going to be any problems. And that's very well a possibility. But I see this as only opening ourselves up to having a liability with some of these young players who don't know how to speak in front of a camera. When it comes to the motivation side, I heard some people, it's going to motivate the team to try to play better. I said this in the live I did yesterday. Salah is the only motivation this team needs. Like this man, he's led ancient warriors to pillage continents. This man, his bloodline, dating all the way back, has just the amount of motivation and excitement this guy brings to the team. That should be the only motivation that this team needs. Hard Knock is not going to add to that. So I'm disappointed about it, but again, excited to plug in. Abby, what do we think?
I mean, I'm kind of with you. Like, well, one, I'm right in the middle. I could care less either way. Like, it's great that we're being featured, but like you said, we didn't want to do it. And that kind of I don't know why we didn't want to do it. He didn't go into too many details. We just didn't want to do it. There's a reason he didn't want to do it. I don't personally think it's a distraction because we've been distracted since the whole Aaron Rodgers deal. We've had the cameras every single day. So I really don't think it's that much of a distraction. So I don't know what else goes on behind the scenes, but will I watch every single episode? Absolutely. I will be fucking tuned in. Literally my eyeballs glued to the screen, but you have to look at it. So, I mean, the last time they were on Hard Knocks, I believe they made the AFC Championship. And that's the same case with some other teams. I think a Cardinals fan mentioned it. And they were like, oh, we went to the NFC Championship that year or whatever, too. And then look where the Cardinals are now. Look what happened to the Jets after that. Hasn't been a great last decade. And then, look, I think it was the Detroit Lions that were featured last year. They had a winning season for them, but not really. Still, 9-8 or something like that. So I don't know. I'm excited for the attention that my team's finally getting. That's why I started ranting about them to begin with. But there's some hesitation there. And like I said, I don't know what it is, but it kind of makes me not as interested. But I don't know. Woody, do you agree? Me and Fitz are on the same page.
It's all. Hey, we all gotta take a chill pill, okay? Well, actually, Abby, you've been chill, but Fitz, come on, man, take a chill pill. This is perfect as a fan, all right. And the unbiased eye. I said it before in IG, right? One of those out there on our team where we don't have to, worry about this things getting glossed up, all right? If Aaron Rodgers farts in the line of scrimmage, I want to know. All right. I don't need that edited out, leaked out because we're just a perfect team that doesn't fart or doesn't have any pimples. I'm trying to see how many pimples are on Garrett Wilson's face. Okay, that's what we're talking about. This is a unbiased look into our team, which we don't get, and we always get blindsided. We keep thinking because we see all the one Jets drives and we see all the articles, and we think, oh, Zach Wilson's been killing it. All right, we can't wait for him to debut, and then we're surprised when he sucks. We did that for Darnold. We did the last 13 years. At least we know as fans. I'm talking about as fans. We know what we can expect this season. In terms of distractions, I'm Team Abby. I don't think it's that much. They got Aaron Rodgers. They've been distracted. All right, the cameras are in their face. It's just more cameras. The only difference is that now this footage is not edited to make them look great. And yeah, maybe, on Sunday, when the episode comes out, somebody's getting a text from their moms being like, oh, like, I can't believe, this happened or something like that. But I don't think it's a big deal. If anything, it's just going to force the organization to be held accountable. Because remember, Fitz, you brought up that survey, right, where the Jets scored super low on a whole bunch of different things. Now they got cameras, outside cameras coming in to kind of put this on display. Maybe the Jets will actually clean up their act. I know that my house looks different now than when my mom or my mother-in-law is coming through, right? You gotta clean up the house, you gotta tighten this up, you gotta. So maybe this is actually going to help the New York Jets organization actually get a higher rating in this year's survey by stepping up their game a bit.
So I understand that. Here's where I'm going to push back is your mother-in-law the Hard Knocks cameras, or is it Aaron Rodgers? Your mother-in-law is already in the building. We're already trying to go and impress a future Hall of Fame quarterback. I think the mother-in-law's been in the building since we signed Aaron Rodgers. So when we go and look at this, these cameras are going to be a lot more intrusive. We can go and say, oh, there's been distractions. Are we going to get Rodgers or not? That was it. It was Adam Schefter trying to go and text Aaron Rodgers and see where he's going. That was a distraction. That is so removed from the players and how they're preparing. But when you have cameras literally on the field, in the coaching room, in the locker room, digging for drama, that is a whole different level of distraction than anything else that's going to be on ESPN, where you can literally be like, oh, click, ESPN's off, no distractions for the players anymore. When you got cameras and, they are far, they're not necessarily right in their face, right? So it's not necessarily going to be a situation where they're going to see the cameras at any given point, but they're going to know they're there. And that is going to be something that is only going to give a liability to distraction. I'm not saying it's definitely going to be a distraction. It is a liability towards distraction when we should be focusing strictly on preparing for the most anticipated season that we've had in, 13 years.
I don't know. I just feel like the cameras are going to be there. They don't know which cameras. Like, oh, are these Jets cameras? Are these Hard Knocks cameras? Like, there are cameras in all those places that you just said. There are cameras on the field. That's how we've seen the throws that we've seen. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. You said you can click off ESPN, but somehow HBO is permanent. You don't have to watch the show. It's the same concept. It's literally
but the difference is motivation. Hard Knocks is looking for drama. The Jets cameras are looking for how can we highlight this team. And you're right, it is a biased view. We are getting a little bit of a spin zone in what our PR team is putting out, to the world. Hard Knocks ain't doing that. Hard Knocks is looking for the AB, Antonio Brown foot drama. They're looking for, John Abram being that obnoxious character that he was on that show. They're looking to pick on our players and create a storyline that probably isn't even really there. And that's what my issue is ultimately with it.
Well, look, I don't mind seeing all the biased New York Jets videos. First of all, the Jets social media team kills it. Like, they've been killing it, especially this offseason, keeping me engaged. So honestly, I know you're talking about it's an unbiased opinion. I could care less. I only want to see the positives for the New York Jets. Like, literally, for the last 10 years, we've been shitty. I've seen enough shit, okay? Like, I'm suffering. Let me have the good moments. So, yeah, I will watch Garrett Wilson replays from his rookie year all day on repeat. Cue up that YouTube video, keep it rolling. So I don't know. I get with the cameras and all of that, but like Fitz said, they're looking for drama, and to be honest, they're not going to get it. I know a lot of they're kind of look for drama around Aaron Rodgers. They're going to want him to say something about the Packers. They're going to want him to say something about Jordan Love. They're going to want to show him acting like a diva. Like, they're honestly, they're not going to get it. And Salah will make sure they don't get it either.
Yeah. I don't.
Damn, we wore you out.
No. And what are you? First of all, I agreed with you before. Are you serious? All I'm saying is, if it is lemonade, right? If it is lemonade, let the lemonade be real. Don't give me, these lemons and then tell me it's lemonade. Like, no, like I need to see it for real. Like, I don't know if this team. That's all it is. I just want to know what we got in the offseason so that we're not just shocked week one like it is every single year. I just want a clear picture. Instead of just telling me, oh, it's going to be great, and then it's not great. Because that's what happens every year, is that they spin us something that looks good, and then you take a bite, and it tastes like poopy.
Rancid.
Well, Woody, I hear where you're coming from, and the last thing I will push back on this is shut up and wait. Like I understand what you're feeling. We'll know, the proof will be in the pudding, right? Like we'll see week 1, week 2, we'll see how the season plays out. Is if this was all Jets PR team, polishing a turd. I don't want, because guess what? It's not going to be just Jets fans watching this. Mm-hmm. This is going to be other coaches, other GMs. They're all going to be looking at this and be like, who can we pick on? Who's the one that's weak-minded? When we got cameras on these people in their unbiased view, this is going to be a real view of them. They'll be able to pick on some players that are a little bit weaker. And I don't love that other teams are going to be getting this, unfiltered view of what our practices are going to be. So if we're going to claim this is going to be, no spin zone, this is what the team is, I don't want the other teams to go and have view into that. I want them to go and see on the field who's going to punch them in the mouth that maybe they weren't expecting that's going to punch them in the mouth. We got a very cool young team that I think we haven't scratched the surface with the ability of their talent. And they all worked in this offseason. They're going to be doing, things differently with a new offensive coordinator. As we prepare for the season, I want other teams as well. If I have to be the collateral where I'm surprised when players either overperform or underperform, I'd rather take that when other coaches are also in that same position.
All right. You've said your piece.
All right.
I'm surprised you're not on our side now.
What? Hey, we're still going to talk about Hard Knocks, because we are going to talk about storylines, right? We're all going to go around the circle and say a storyline that we expect to see on this show. Is it something that we're looking forward to seeing? I feel like mine is something I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't know if yours is something you're looking forward to seeing, but I think it's more what you're expecting to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then, Abby, start us off.
I mean, there's a million things they can cover. Like, honestly, you can go any which way. I guess one that I would like to see and that I would be interested in seeing is the relationship with Rodgers and Zach Wilson now going to being QB2 essentially permanently right now. So, and the reason I would like to see that too is so he's always respected Aaron Rodgers and he's always kind of seen him as a mentor. And I want to see what that mentorship relationship looks like. And if that's actually improved Zach Wilson's mentality and will make him a leader in the future. Will he ever start a game for the New York Jets again? I have no idea. I know two of you at least don't want to see him on the field ever again, or at least in a Jets uniform. But I know I was reading up today just kind of how when Rodgers came into the league and how Brett Favre was, and it wasn't a good relationship. And so what I'm hoping is that obviously Rodgers knows what it's like to be in that position. He obviously had Jordan Love sit under him too. They had a way better relationship. Love seems to look up to him, always talks positively about the relationship. I just want to see that transfer over to Zach Wilson, because not only does he need to grow on the field and just, I don't know what he needs to do to his vision because he can't see the field for shit. He sees anybody and was like just chucking it up for anybody. But one of the areas of improvement is he needs the leadership, and that's what he's missing. And that's what this team needs, especially one, if you're going to be QB1 ever again, you are essentially the leader of the team. And then two, you got a bunch of young guys, make yourself like stand out in that way. You know what I mean? So that's one storyline I feel like I'm looking forward to, but like I said, there's tons of different ways that this can go, and it still wouldn't be enough New York Jet content for me.
I got to tell you, I think the big storyline I'm looking at is a position battle, at center. I think it's been one that really, I think a lot of us have kind of forgotten about, haven't really talked about much. We bring in Joe Tippmann, in the second round of the draft. We brought back McGovern for a very cheap backup price. I mean, he's $1.9 million he's getting this season. I think he probably returned expecting to be a starter. You got to give him some credit. He's been very reliable. He's played 48 of 50 games, with us. He's been reliable. If he ends up being the starter and Joe Tippmann's under him, I don't really have a big problem with that. I think there's a good chance Joe Tippmann can come in and take it. That's a big boy. He's a stud. I think there's also the component of, is Rodgers going to want to have a rookie under center versus, a veteran who's a little bit more experienced? McGovern's been, really generally an above average guy. He's been solid. He hasn't been elite. He hasn't been phenomenal, but he's really not been the reason why this offensive line has really kind of been underperforming the past few seasons. I think there's argument made Laken Tomlinson has been a disappointing component in that, but oh my gosh. But, I'm excited to see how this position battle turns out because I think regardless, we win. Whoever wins this role, we win, because if Joe Tippmann takes it, then we've got a swing guy for McGovern, a guard, if we got to put him in at guard. I think Joe Tippmann could probably do that as well. But I think, having two guys that are flexible, being able to play different positions, going at it for the starting center role is only going to make us stronger. So rooting for them both. Don't care who wins it. I trust that the team's going to pick the right guy. If we throw a rookie out there and he learns, in the trenches, great. If he plays a few games or a season under McGovern and learns, also great. But it's going to be fun to go and see how that battle plays out in the preseason.
Yeah, I think, honestly, you just outlined why they don't talk about it, because I feel like it is win-win, right? I wholeheartedly agree. If it's Joe Tippmann, he has earned the right over an above-average NFL center. If it is Connor McGovern, he's been an above-average NFL center. So, and I think both of them, also mentality-wise, aren't going to create a stir, right? So, whoever, I think that it's about to be a gentleman's battle for the position, and we win either way. And if they lose, they'll just take it on the chin. The same cannot be said for my storyline with Mekhi Becton, who seems to complain about a lot of things all the time. And the big thing here is that he's in a position battle, right? He is a left tackle, says it in caps on Twitter. I am a left tackle, okay? But Robert Saleh seems to think that Dwayne Brown's a left tackle. So what do we do? What do we do? All right, Dwayne, he is very old, right? He's like 38. He has not played any position other than left tackle. Even in college, he was only a left tackle. So we're talking like 20 years of just left tacklage. And Mekhi Becton, he played a little bit of right in Louisville, but he was mostly a left tackle. And then, of course, in his very short 13-game career, he was left tackle. And then he has blamed his knee injury on the switch. So it does not seem like, to me, he will be willing to switch this offseason. So what happens? What happens? Because we're talking stylistically, these guys both refuse to go to the right? They're probably the two best tackles we have. So if we could just have one go to the right, we'd be all good. But they don't want to go. So what do we do there? Coaching-wise, right? What do we do there? Do you want the young guy or you want the old dog? And then you best believe Joe Douglas has a stake in this, because his first draft pick as a GM ever in his life was Mekhi Becton. That's actually a pretty underrated stat. And they declined his 5th-year option, which they totally should have. So this is literally his last year to prove to somebody that he deserves a job in the NFL, right? His son was born last year. I think his son is turning 1 around this time. Like, he's trying to be a good dad. He's trying to provide for his family. This is his last year to try to prove something. Are they going to waste that year by having him just be on the bench behind Dwayne Brown? And who is going to play the right tackle? Who's going to play the right tackle? I feel like that storyline, there's so many different things. I just cannot wait. If we're talking about drama that Hard Knocks is going to pick up, it's going to be Mekhi Becton whining if he don't get his way. So my eyes will be glued to the screen whenever they're talking about that.
I'll say two things. I'll say two things about Mekhi real quick. I'm glad he doesn't have in his Twitter bio left tackle for ... And then here you got AVT literally going wherever the F he needs to be, bro. Like, come on. And AVT's earned that respect. You know what I mean? Mekhi, we haven't seen anything from you. We haven't seen you in goddamn 2 years. The only thing we know right now is you lost weight and you had a baby.
and Abby, I was going to say the same thing. Woody, you went and said, he's probably the best tackles we have right now. AVT is the best tackle we have right now. And sadly, we only got one of them, but he's probably the best pick-up position. He's probably the best one that we have on the field for any position. Might be the best quarterback we have on the team. But then when you go and also look at, Mekhi, one thing to add to that, because I agree. I think that's going to be the juiciest storyline to watch. But when you also go and factor in, like you said, we denied the 5th-year option. I don't think there's a chance in hell he comes back to that. This is his last season as a Jet. If he is successful, then he's got beef with us. And we know Joe Douglas is a bit stingy. He's going to go and look for the most money he can get, and he's probably going to have a bias to go and take the same price elsewhere. I think he wants to get the heck out of here. He feels like we've treated him poorly. I do, and then if he doesn't play or he doesn't perform super well, he's going to go and try to go to again wherever he's going to go and get the most money. So I think regardless of his performance this season, Mekhi Becton's last year as a Jet is going to be 2023.
One interesting thing I'll say that I've noticed, because I think we all do love, Abby said, right, the Jets social media team, they are on point. And they always got their daily questions or weekly questions and stuff. But I always notice that Rodgers, he's actually usually near Mekhi when they ask him those questions. And sometimes he'll actually I forgot what question it was, but it was if you needed somebody to bail you out of trouble or something, or if you needed somebody to pick to help you win a fight, and he was like, oh God, he didn't even hesitate. I feel like they've established some sort of relationship where if that's the case, that's a pretty powerful advocate to have. If that is true, and that it might just be coincidence that just they happen to just keep walking out at the same time or something like that. But I have seen, and I feel like that's my best way of trying to get things that haven't been polished. I'm just trying to look all right, who's vibing with who's doing this, who's doing that, and that's one duo that I've seemed to notice. But if it is his last year, he literally hasn't played in so long. It's not like I can shed a tear. But I would like to hope that he plays well enough and takes another smaller deal, like a 1-year prove it deal for next year. And that might be Rodgers' last year. Maybe keep that together, protecting his blind side. But I guess we don't know. We'll have to find out.
Jets signed Quinnen Williams. Breaking news! $96 million contract. Quinnen Williams is going to be a New York Jet for the next 4 years.
Oh my God!
No! What perfect timing for this pod right now.
Oh,
I knew it was coming, but that feels good. That feels good.
That won't be no storyline on Hard Knocks now.
Oh, wow.
They don't want that to be a storyline.
Oh.
I just wanted him to get paid, yo. I just wanted him to get paid.
Holy shit.
Oh, my.
Mekhi Becton, he does basically, if he does average this year, he's gonna want Quinnen Williams money. I'm like, bro, get out of here. Holy shit! Perfect timing.
Dreams do come true, man.
I'm
That's
gonna
all I
see
gotta
it
say.
tonight.
You!
Wow. So this is something
I know, right?
this is something we really got to point out here. We took a little bit of a hiatus, obviously in the off season, haven't gotten the gang together in a few months now. And look, we're what, 20 minutes in? It just took 20 minutes of getting the game back together, and Quinnen Williams is back re-signed. Like we gotta do this more often. I think there's some energy here. There's some energy here.
Hey, the next one we do, we'll get DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know. Do something.
Well,
oh my God.
No, look at the Jets are showing like from when he did his first interview ever, and when his little like sneeze, he's like blessed.
Oh, and he blessed himself.
He legit blessed himself with money now.
We
honestly
are
well deserved. Well deserved.
Well, to transition now to our next segment, because that's some phenomenal news. Want to keep us on track here because we got two more points we want to cover here heading into the season. So we're going to start with Woody on this one. Who are you anticipating to be the most improved kind of breakout player in this offseason here?
Well, my pick, they call him the Florham Park Strangler, according to Robert Salah. That's a thing that he said himself. Just before I say who it is, I'll just say Fitz and I, the few things that Fitz and I have ever agreed on in our entire lives was that we did not like the linebacker play of last year. We didn't love it. We didn't love it. CJ is good. Quincy is good. Quan was good, but they got to all do the same thing. we need some variance between the three of them. So while everybody has been, telling everybody and their mama to re-sign Quan, I was like, are we really gonna run it back? Like everyone's just like a year older. Like, are we really gonna run this back? And they just haven't run it back yet. They haven't given Quan a deal yet. I know he's asking for more money, but perhaps it is because they believe in the ascension of Jamian Sherwood, the man who was picked 5th round of the 2021 draft. He actually started his rookie year a few games before tearing his Achilles. As we know with Carl Lawson, it takes longer to recover from that. So last year, he wasn't too much of a factor. But Carl is looking like he's in the shape of his life, and so does Jamian. And what I'll say about Jamian, where I think this is probably why they like him and why I might be a fan, is that when he was drafted, he was actually a safety. He was playing in coverage. His pass coverage is one of his greatest strengths. What they've needed to do this whole time was bulk him up. And honestly, getting an Achilles injury is a quick way to start gaining pounds. So the dude is bulked up. He has been playing safety for the majority of his life. He is comfortable in pass coverage. And now he is a linebacker for the New York Jets. He might be exactly what the doctor ordered. And if he is, we will see it during these next couple of weeks of training camp. So Jamian Sherwood is my pick to be the most improved person to improve his stock. And hey, we might just forget about Quan because that boy will be playing.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I like it.
Abby, what do you got?
There was kind of two players that came to mind, but there's one I want to give more credit to, and I think is going to just have a jump this year. That's going to be Jermaine Johnson II, good old JJ. So JJ doesn't get highlighted as much because he wasn't offensive rookie of the year, wasn't defensive rookie of the year. He gets outshined by Sauce and Garrett Wilson. Mind you, those players are top tier players, but they also are the stars in kind of their position. You know what I mean? And the Jets have really focused, and even this year took Will McDonald. They're really focusing on the edge to have that rotation. And when you have a rotation, you're not getting all the goddamn snaps. Okay. He took 34% of the snaps last year. I was reading his stats, 29 tackles, 2.5 sacks. He's credited with 14 QB pressures. It's a modest start, which is what a rookie player normally gets. He didn't do anything off the charts. He didn't play poor at all. He was above average is what I would say. But I think this year, we now know the rotation. The Jets have really emphasized the edge position. I liked what I saw from Jermaine Johnson last year. Who didn't? I liked the whole little thing he was doing. You know what I mean? He was getting after the Buffalo Bills. I remember that game. He got after Josh Allen. So he's got speed. He's big. He's got the motivation. He obviously has a quarterback. The defense, honestly, last year was so exceptional for the shitty offense that we had. They were on the field so damn much. And so now it's going to be a little more regulated. Hopefully the defense is off the field more than they're going to be off the field a little more. But I think JJ is really going to have a leap this year. And it's funny because I was reading his tweets right now, and you know what? Trash articles, you can post anything nowadays. And someone was saying it's a do or die year from him. And he basically told him, bro, shut the fuck up. I'm in my second year. I'm credited with this and this and this. You have no idea what you're talking about. And every New York Jets fan in the comments was like, you tell him, we're all about you. So I'm going to go ahead and say Jermaine Johnson the second, which I know you both agree with. We all love him.
I think those are two phenomenal picks. I like those two picks a lot. Sherwood, I think is, that background that he has is going to fill a gap. And I think that's probably why we're not going after Quan very hard, is we're like, you know what? Sherwood's ready. We don't really need Quan. Quan was great last year. We enjoyed watching him, but Sherwood's going to be a big bump. And JJ, he's going to break out. I'm really excited to see him. So before we started recording here today, folks, I gave a little sneak peek in my pick for this, and Woody was very upset with my pick. Abby's a lot nicer of a person just generally, so she was like, oh, it's fine. So I'm picking for most improved, the quarterback of the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers. So this is why I want to kind of say him. Everybody's saying he's coming off a down year, and he was. Let's go over this. I mean, of the 18 seasons he's been in the NFL, he was a starter for 15 of them. Only 2 of those seasons he didn't complete. And last year, he had his second most interceptions of his career. He had the second fewest amount of first downs. These are all of the seasons he's completed, full seasons. Second fewest amount of first downs. Second, he had the worst, longest pass, completed pass in his career. Worst QB rating in his career, and fewest total yards in his career last year. So this was a down year for him. And luckily, a down year for a first ballot Hall of Famer still ain't too freaking bad. But being reunited with Nathaniel Hackett, being able to retain the continuity of having Lazard come over to the Jets, having, Breece Hall, potentially Dalvin Cook, we're talking maybe that. But at the very least, a Bam MC, duo there. Don't forget about Abanikanda. Having Garrett Wilson to throw to. Garrett Wilson's going to make a significant. For Garrett Wilson to be Offensive Rookie of the Year last year with Zach Wilson, Mike White, and Flacco, my Lord, could you imagine what he's going to do this season? I think Rodgers is set up for returning to that MVP status that he was. He's on this redemption tour. He feels a little slighted by Green Bay. He went into the darkness, did a bunch of drugs, and now he's ready to show up and show out. So, I think Rodgers, this is a little bit of a different pick of what you guys were talking about. You guys got really good positions there. Rodgers is someone that, I think especially comparatively to what we had last year, I really cannot understate how much of a difference he's going to do for the offense. And I think his presence is also going to improve. Garrett's going to improve, really. Breece Hall, I mean, the entire team is going to be elevated from him. And, one last point on him I want to make, based off what you said, Rudy, there about, him coming out with Mekhi and trying to hype up Mekhi. That's leadership, man. What Zach Wilson leadership looked like was pathetic. Him saying, oh, it wasn't my fault that we lost the game. Oh, it wasn't me. Rodgers understands what Mekhi's going through. And, whether that's his real answer or what he's saying in front of the cameras to try to go in and give his boys some confidence, Mekhi back then, that is what leadership looks like. And, you know, this entire team, soup to nuts, is going to be dramatically improved just by having him there in the locker room. So I'm very excited about that. You know, with our last segment here, kind of switching gears a little bit. We're talking about who are we most excited, who's going to improve the most, who's going to show out. Now we're kind of predicting some dumpers. We're trying to go and predict here who's going to disappoint us a little bit, you know, through training camp here. So Abby, kick us off. Who are you least excited to see in training camp?
It is so painful to say this answer, but I'll explain why. And I'm going to say Michael Carter. Like, okay. And the reason I'm saying that is the running back position. We already know Breece Hall is the dude. Okay. But coming off the injury, we're going to have to work him back in. And so what this means is the other running backs that we got, including him, including Izzy, and including Bam, are all, they know exactly what's going to happen. They're all going to be fighting. And guess what? Can you imagine if we add Dalvin Cook to that mix too? Because he's still being talked about. He still hasn't signed. So we very much could sign him. And who knows, after the deal with Quinnen Williams, now they're like, oh, we got our financials right. Let's take a look at him more now. But because of that, I feel, you know, Izzy is so fucking quick. And I think he can easily work his way into number 2 if he wanted. Same thing with Bam. Now, Michael Carter had he didn't have like a completely awful year last year, but it wasn't good. He was tied last in yards per carry at 3.5, and he averaged 2.7 yards after contact. He had the lowest first down rate, and the worst play ever, the fumble in the red zone against fucking Buffalo. We would have won that game, and you choked it. Okay, like, God, it was the worst thing. It was the same thing when Barrios dropped that touchdown in the goddamn end zone. And where's Barrios now? Gone. Of course, we'll see him later against Miami. That's what I'm saying. The pressure's on. The pressure is on. So, and because of the rotation that we have, any one of these guys can easily come after that number 2 position. So, I don't know. I just wasn't impressed with him last year. Even Bam had similar numbers to him. They're pretty much as far as numbers wise. I think the one thing that Bam has, he's a little bit able to read the field a little better, and he's really good against, I think, like the pass block or something like that. But anyway, but yeah, MC, you need to have a better year. And I love the guy. He's so fucking funny. Like, he's great to have around. But you know, you got to step it up this year, and your position's up for grabs, dude. Like,
well, before we go to Woody, I want to say, like, we got MC2. We might have an MC3 or 4 on the depth chart. He might be bumped to MC3 or 4. We might have to change his jersey name to MC3 or 4 based off of how these position battles are going to play out.
Yeah, so
I like Michael Carter, man.
I know I do too.
Everything that you said is valid, though. Like, you know, it's valid. What I do think he'll probably drop in the depth chart, but I don't think it'll happen in training camp. I think he will retain his spot in training camp, and then Anaconda, like, as he gets more comfortable to the NFL, I think, you know, we won't be able to keep up with him. You know, it'll be Breece and him, but
right.
That fumble, by the way, was it's his only fumble of his entire career. You know, the timing was unfortunate, but I feel like, you know, he had been reliable. He's shown us. But we'll see. We'll see, though. We'll see. But I know you love Michael. You know, I love Michael Carter.
I love both Michael Carters. Let's say that.
Oh, yeah. I think we can all agree. I think that's a clean sweep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, MC2 is definitely that dude. Let's talk about somebody who's definitely not that dude. And yeah, so Abby actually put it very beautifully in the beginning when we were talking about storylines about what's about to happen. You know, Aaron Rodgers, he's done this thing with Brett Favre in the pupil position. Now he's been the mentor for Jordan. He's been the mentor for Zach. And, you know, that's a very common practice in pro sports is, you know, the old dog, you know, prepares a new dog for battle. Zach Wilson, I feel like so much has been done for Zach Wilson, and this isn't from a place of hate, I promise you. But more than the average prospect, so much has been done. We've brought in his personal QB coach, which is literally unheard of. Not any quarterback drafted in the last 5 years has had an external QB coach brought into the organization. But we did that for Zach to kind of coddle him in and be like, oh, it's okay, that face, and kind of bring him along. We did not change the playbook from year one to year two. It was the exact same playbook. He is the only QB of his draft class to have that benefit. Right? We got him more weapons. We got him Garrett Wilson, who almost in spite of, actually not even almost, definitely in spite of Zach, ascended to the offensive rookie of the year. I can give you the splits of Garrett's stats with anybody. Flacco, White, Fitz, anybody throwing him the ball versus Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. It's a miracle that he still won that award with Zach playing so many games. So we already know he has not been great. Now, can Aaron be the key? Childhood mentor, or childhood idol, and unlocking this and unlocking that. I do think, this is the last gasp. If the QB coach didn't work, building around you didn't work, same OC didn't work. Now we got a new OC, right? He's pretty much the reason why LaFleur got fired. So now we got a new OC. We got your childhood idol. If you can't figure it out now, you're hopeless. And that's that they say the saying, you can teach a horse, you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. It in the end, it truly has to be Zach. Like Zach Wilson within himself has to be able to make the change consistently. And I think that's the problem. I think we're gonna see flashes. And this is why I'm saying him for training camp. I think there will be a day where he'll be like, ooh, Zach, he was 8 for 8 in practice today. Let's go. And then the very next day, he'll throw 7 picks. Like, I don't think we will ever see a consistent Zach Wilson. And I think this period is going to drop his stock dramatically, where by the end of the year, they're probably like, damn, we need another contingency plan. And that's all going to start in training camp this year, where he's out of excuses. We drink the fucking water, man. Drink the water.
I'm with you.
He's already been inconsistent in OTAs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's flashes of goodness and then flashes of exactly what we've seen for the last 2 years.
I don't think that's gonna stop. I truly don't. But we'll see.
I'll tell you what, Zach Wilson, we all say he looks like a Disney show character, and that show's canceled. That show's canceled. I'm so done with that guy. So I'm gonna bring in one here for disappointing player. It's gonna be kind of similar to Abby's, where Abby picked team and fan favorite. Everybody in the team loves MC. Fans love MC. Disappointed with his year last year. Similarly, CJ Uzoma. He's at every one of these, Rangers games, and the boys are all getting out to hang out. He's probably a blast to hang out with. I would love to go out and drink some beers with that guy. But let's take a look at CJ. He's never had a season over 500 years in his entire career. He got Tyler Conklin had twice as many yards as he did last year. Tyler Conklin is slow as Christmas. He comes around once a year. It is so wild to see, what is CJ's role on this team going to be this year? He's a little bit of a better blocker than Conklin, which is, great, good. But, we now have a very bloated receiving core, bringing in Alan Lazard. We still have Corey Davis, a name that we kind of forget about from time to time. It's less likely that we're going to see Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, and Lazard all on the field at the same time. And if it does, we would have to put, Garrett in the slot. But it's a bloated receiving core. I want to see more Ruckert. I want to see Jeremy Ruckert get an opportunity. I think this is probably the year where we're going to see a little bit more of him. CJ Uzoma, it was just very disappointing last year. And don't forget, I brought in Zach Kuntz. You know, I don't think he's going to see the field this year. I think we're going to try to tee him up to get some time in the next, year or two. That guy has some freakish talent. Definitely still a lot of stuff that he needs to get cleaned up. But, I think in the tight end room, it's bloated where I'm trying to figure out what CJ's role is outside of kind of blocking here and there. But then on the receiving side, when you blend in the tight ends and, the wide receivers, what is his role? And, I have not seen enough out of him. I don't think his career makes an argument for him to be like, let's give him another shot. Let's see what he could do. He's just been a second-rate guy his whole career. And, I hate to say it because I think, we've really brought in some great culture guys, which Joe Douglas was very big on, going into his, tenure as GM here, and I think MC, CJ, phenomenal, people to go and bring in for that. But CJ, I'm disappointed in, and I don't think that he's going to be having good enough of a training camp to retain, any type of lock, for him to be a guaranteed, starter, on our team.
Let me say something about our tight ends, because as a core and as a group, I was literally thinking of selecting them. They could be most improved or they could be most disappointing as a whole group. They are just completely non-existent sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's just hard because you see these other tight ends on obviously like Kelsey and then Kittle. You see them just exceptional at their role. And the Jets, they keep bringing in people who I'm just like, you're okay. You know what I mean? You haven't gotten over that hump. So the tight ends as a group, I would like to see more Rucker too. And he actually did well at OTA. So maybe with the training camp, I'm kind of expecting a little more from him. But the tight ends as a whole, they're either going to disappoint me again or they're going to be the most improved core group, honestly.
Agreed.
Well, let me defend my boys real quick. Really, the tight ends.
They had no quarterback. Neither did Garrett Wilson. You've had this argument with me.
Hey, do I sound like that? I don't even know if I sound like that. I feel like I got a little bit more mix than that. But no. All right. First of all, Tyler Conklin, he was second in the team, I think, in like almost every receiving stat, right? He was second in touchdowns, right? Tyler Conklin is a good tight end. So unfortunately, I don't think Rucker will be able to surpass him. But Rucker, as Fitz knows, I mean, leading up to that draft, I was like, we got to get Rucker. Like, we need, because all of us Jets fans look at Kelsey and we'd be looking at Kittle, we'd be looking at Darren Waller like this, like we're just like, yo, what's going on? Yeah, just like that, right? But I feel like with what we saw with like the limited play, I mean, Tyler Conklin, he actually had a pretty good season. He had over 500 yards, which was, the barometer that Fitz put. He was second in the team in touchdowns. When Zach had his best game statistically, when he sucked terribly against the Patriots, and then like he came back and his end of game stats was like 355 yards and like 2 TDs. That was being funneled through Conklin. That wasn't even really Garrett like that. It was Conklin. So with a respectable Aaron Rodgers, not even respectable, an elite Aaron Rodgers throwing these boys the ball, I think Conklin, when I tell people who play fantasy, like Tyler Conklin is going to be a really good option. The last time Aaron Rodgers played with a tight end that played the whole season, that tight end was tied for second in the NFL in touchdowns. Second in the NFL. That's Robert Tonyan, who sucks. He sucks. He's on the Bears now. We're never going to hear about him ever again. He sucks. Conklin, I think, is pretty good. Rucker, I think, is pretty good. Even Uzoma, I would put better than Tonyan, but he's the worst of the bunch. So I think with Rodgers at the helm, we're not going to see Travis Kelce. I'm sorry. It's not going to be that. But Kelsey's an all-time great. We are going to see, though, consistent production from the tight end position. That's something that I can pretty confidently proclaim for the season. We are going to see tight end success. We're going to see a lot of touchdowns out of them. We're going to see some yardage and book it. Guaranteed. That's a Woody guarantee for the season.
Conklin was second on the team for touchdowns or whatever because Breece Hall was hurt. That's why.
I
You
don't
can
know.
believe on me and you have already had this disagreement with the tight ends. I just said the core group is not bad. It's just
True.
not exceptional. And honestly, you can't tell me right now with Garrett Wilson and Lazard that Aaron Rodgers is going to utilize the tight end. I don't know how much, though, with that receiving core and that running core that we have.
No, it's going to be the same because when Tanyan was second in the league, he had Devontae Adams and the same Alan Lazard. I promise you, that's what I'm saying. It's going to look good in Hackett's system with Rodgers throwing the ball. We're not going to see Kelsey, but we're going to see Mike Gesicki. We're going to see something like that on this Jets. I'm telling you, Tyler Conklin and Rucker. I mean, if Uzoma earns the time, then he's earned the time, and he didn't have a drop last year. That one Strevler, remember the Strevler like wobbly throw when CJ was wide open, right? Like, CJ caught that, right? He didn't have a drop. So if he earns the time, I respect it. But I do think it'll be Conklin and Rucker, and I do think we'll have an average production from the time instead of being dead last like every year. I think we'll be like, somewhere between 14 and 18. And I don't think that Conklin's going to be second on the team in touchdowns this year. But
he definitely won't. But Conklin's clear cut number one. Like CJ is just who I'm not expecting to do enough. I think Ruckert's going to go out there. He's fighting for blood. He's got his dad out there whipping and being like, "Boy, I need you to start on this team. Like, this is my team, man. I need you here." So I think Ruckert's got a lot of motivation to make that jump. He's got a lot of talent. So I really think it's going to be Conklin Ruckert, as our 1-2 this year. But I think this tight end group is going to be good. I do. I think when it comes down to it, Rodgers just loves throwing to tight ends too much. He also loves throwing to Lazard. He also is going to love throwing to Garrett Wilson. So I think, expectations the first few weeks, just on this tight end component, kind of tying in, I think we're going to be a very pass-heavy team. With Breece Hall, coming off the injury, I think we're going to be pass-heavy and then probably take it a little easy on Breece the first couple of weeks, see how he's doing, in full-speed games. And I think we're going to be fairly pass-heavy just because of all the options that we have. And I think that's going to open up more opportunities for Rucker to get on the field, not really need or not really utilize, that, tight end blocking. So CJ, I just don't think that he's going to be that guy this year, but we shall see. And we're getting so close, guys.
We're almost there. I'm so sick of the off-season shit.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Brutal.
But,
it's brutal to wade through. Hey, everybody that watches this, that's obviously on this podcast in the cockpit, have yourself a brew because Quinnen Williams.
Always back.
Oh my Lord. By the time this contract is up, mark my words, this is another Woody guarantee. By the time his contract is up, Quinnen Williams will be the best defensive tackle in the NFL. We have secured him for his future. We have secured him. And it's a beautiful thing.
I'm like, timestamp that.
Do it, please. Please. Because who more, I feel like Quinnen should give me a cut. Who has been campaigning for Quinnen's extension more than me? I'd like to know. Because this man has deserved every cent. He could have gotten more. We lowballed him 96 mil. We lowballed him. But I'm telling you, he is fantastic. Just get the guy. Like he was by himself. Now he had Carl Lawson, and what happened? He explodes 12 and a half sacks. First time for the Jets in like 15 years, or sorry, 10 years. It's just amazing. And now, Carl is even better. We got McDonald. We got JJ. We all think he's going to explode. We got Clemens. Quinnen is just going to keep on eating, right? Those guys are all under contract for years, and now we have him under contract for years. That Jets D-line will be the premier D-line in this league for the entirety of Quinnen's contract. And I do think by the time of that contract, Aaron Donald's going to be out of the league. So it won't be that much competition for the best defensive tackle. It'll be all him. Chris Jones will be like 35. It won't matter. So this is Quinnen's time. Quinnen's time.
Speaking of defense, real quick, did you see all that Twitter drama with it was Sauce, Revis, and
Oh my God, who was
still going on yesterday?
Man?
I was like, bro. And the thing is, let me say something. We talked about leadership a lot. The way Sauce handled that entire situation was like the most mature response, but also like, don't fucking talk to me like that. Like, bro. He was like, then who are you picking? He's like, why is my name? Like, he literally was asking him, why is my name always in, like, why is my name in your mouth? Why am I trending? But that shit was so funny. Now, Revis I'm here for all the petty with him sometimes. They were posting stats, pictures, side by sides. I was living for it.
No, Sauce, honestly, I think that's
Asante who? Never heard of him.
Wait, I better see right now when I get on Twitter, I better see that Quinnen Williams changed his bio to defensive tackle for the New York fucking Jets.
Yes.
Instantly.
Yes. No, it's a beautiful thing. I love Sauce. I think that's one of his greatest assets is just his mind. He is so mature for a kid. And, the first time, there it is.
I know, it's just like him.
It's in caps, too.
I'm not even gonna lie. When they were talking about Asante Samuel, I thought they were talking about Ashanti, the singer. I was like, why is Ashanti? Why is she talking shit? But apparently, it was Asante. Who? I don't even know. But,
and he capitalized the New York Jets.
Yes.
About it.
Well, everybody, thank you for taking flight with us. We back, and I'm telling you, see. Look at what happened, all right? Look at what happened when Take Flight Talk first took flight. Right? We were excited, right? We were like 6-3. We were 6-3. And now, right, Take Flight, right? We have no gas in the engine. Now we're back in the air, and Quinnen Williams has been secured for the foreseeable future. Good things happen when the three of us meet. And I promise everybody, we will be meeting again soon. We'll be talking New York Jets. Abby, you already know. Sign us off.
Thank God I got my beanie on, but we're going to leave you how we always leave you. One word, and that's 4 letters. That's JETS, 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 Jets. And guess what? The whole nation knows who we are now. The whole nation.